Hey everyone, I'm Wa.
And I'm Chris, and welcome to Docu Sweeties.
We're two longtime friends who discuss the riveting and sometimes trashy world of reality TV and docuseries.
Yes, but through our own lens, honey, which is, I mean, peppery with our own, just like spiciness. We're like paprika and cayenne together with like a little habanero and like, we're all the spices. I'm like an Aleppo pepper, like from Aleppo, Syria, and I can't think of one right now to call you, Wa.
I
But
could
is
be
there
a I could be a jalapeno. I could be an habanero because my dad loves it and that's what we eat a lot.
okay?
I could also be a serrano,
Oh, okay.
chili.
Okay, yeah. So listen, we are sexy, spicy, horny people. I think that that's gotten across in this intro. But at the end of the day, hopefully also mildly sweet. Hi, you're horny. Hi, we're talking about 90 Day Fiancé, The Other Way, season 5, episode 6. Who's the bossiest? And if you could imagine from us two, from Juan and Chris, you can sure as hell think that I am. I'm the bossiest. Now, obviously, they're talking about this stupid show from the 80s, which I never watched and don't care about.
Oh yeah, who's the boss? Yeah, I
Yeah.
never watched that. No. I never. The only '80s things that I watched was 227, Amen, and the one with Kim Fields in it where she was Tootie or something. Facts of Life,
The Facts
and
of
then
Life. I don't know what Amen is.
it's a black
I
show.
figured only
Yeah.
because it's
You know
not
the
Amen. It sounds like it's like I can probably like is it Christian-y, kind of like Baptist-y, kind of is it someone like a preacher or someone or other, kind of like, yeah. I mean, come on. Okay. Come on.
yeah. It's
Come on.
yep. And I think those are the what's the one where the son was the Republican, Michael J. Fox was the Republican, but the
Oh
family
yeah,
were
Family
liberals.
Ties. Family
Oh,
Ties.
that was the only show that didn't have black people in it that I watched.
You know what's so funny? I never watched that show either. This is like I didn't grow up in like even we never talked about politics, so I wasn't even aware growing up that like what that meant.
Oh, no, I remember it's funny, I was just talking about this today. I remember going to school, and I was in kindergarten, and being like, "Oh, we're voting for Bush," because I had seen all the Bush ads everywhere. And I, was like, "Oh, we're voting for Bush." And then so I told everybody at school, I was like, "We're not voting for Dukakis. That's a stupid name. It sounds like Dukaki, Dukaka." And my teacher was like, "Are you sure?" And I was like, "Yeah, Bush." And so I go home and I was like, "Dad, Bush, right?" And he was like, "No, Dukakis." And I was like, "Dad, that is such an ugly name. It sounds stupid. It sounds like poop."
Wow.
Anyways,
Well,
that's my life.
you wanted to only vote based on name alone. And listen, Olympia Dukakis.
Yeah.
And listen, but Bush came around twice,
Yeah, he
So
did.
listen, I mean, so unfortunately, Bush ended up being one of the names for presidents in America. Like it's that's starting to be. There's really only when it comes to like more than one. There's really only like a Bush and a Kennedy.
Yeah,
So
but the Bush senior, he only had one term, which is like crazy because Clinton came and just like kicked his bootay.
oh, I mean, come on,
Just the
honey.
saxophone played on like either Arsenio Hall or whatever. I saw that live and I said, "That is a cool ass white man."
You know what? It's so funny because isn't that saxophone like like even Obama had this thing where what is it? Democrat presidents like jazz, or can for some reason there's something about Democratic presidents that if they're like there's something hip to them liking good music,
Yes.
and Republican presidents for some reason
Just rich.
there's no music involved.
None. It's just wealth.
Yeah, I mean, listen, we're getting pretty like like black and white about it. Let's get back to the show because like can you believe it? We're actually talking about a 90 Day Fiance episode. I mean, yes, you can't believe it because there's so much happening in the world. We're doing 90 Day Fiance before the 90 days. This is the toe. Couples retreats happening. Matchmake abroad feels almost like 90 Day Fiance, but it's not even that. Wow.
Yeah. There's one thing I do want to say, and it's not political, but it's like heartfelt. Like the people from the Maui fires, like God bless you. I'm so sad and sorry.
Yeah.
And if you can send monies for relief, please do so. But let's talk about something not as sad, but also not in America. Holly and Wayne.
I love it.
This is
His
like the best photo of her and him. He looks Latino in this photo.
Yeah, does he have a spray tan in this photo? Why
Yeah.
is he
Yeah.
like, is he working outside to get more money in this photo? Like, she looks like she's never seen a day, a minute of sunlight, like she,
Mm-hmm.
again, Priscilla, he's, that guy from that thing. What's happening? It's so funny because I can't tell what's happening with his teeth. Sometimes, I don't think, did you say this already? Sometimes when he opens his mouth, and I see a glimpse of what I think is like half a tooth, I think, oh, there must be like 1/4 teeth in there. And then when he smiles, I try and see if there's like, in fact, 1/4 of teeth in there. But I can't quite tell if it's just like a very asymmetrical bite or what's happening. But his teeth drive me up a wall. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah. To me, he has fangs and also he has like a lower jaw situation.
Okay, what is
Um,
that? What do you mean when you say the lower jaw
it's
situation?
like it's an underbite or something. It like juts
Yes.
out.
Okay, so yeah, maybe his bite isn't squared, and so what we see is like things going like sideways. Okay, yeah, yeah, yeah. But
Yeah.
yeah,
It's like he has to
fascinating.
hold it together. So he is standing outside of the dress shop space and dressing room. Jesus, couldn't get that out. Dressing room. And he is overhearing Holly whisper and like cry to her mother that, he's like, he called me a prostitute. I mean, I think that was a little much. He called me a prostitute. I'm not a prostitute. I don't dress like a prostitute. And the mother goes, he didn't mean it. He just said it. And then the mother conveniently goes, okay, I'm going to go over here, and allows them to like hug it out. But you can tell she's still pretty annoyed by it because she really likes the way she dresses, I imagine. And like the short dresses and the crazy ass outfits, just she gives, okay, not that she looks like her, but there's something a little teal swan that I get.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Mhm.
It's the length of the hair. It's the fairness of the skin, the darkness of the hair, and kind of like the eyes, which radiate a certain amount of, oh no,
Crazy,
oh
yeah.
yeah, 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 yeah. Where it's like, and this is the God's honest thing. You are, if you are me and you are you, and we're just living our lives, and we come across such a person, it would be like we would take 2 seconds to like lock eyes, and then kind of like see, oh, what's happening there? Oh, oh, she's, woo. It's like less than 7 seconds. Name that tune of like, why, honey, I can't I can't look at you in the eyes anymore, and therefore I can't talk to you anymore. And I'm pretty sure that every time I look at you in the eyes, you're trying to jump into my soul. And I have a really good like reflex. Like, you can't even put me under, like, you can't hypnotize me. I'm very stubborn. I'm very hard headed. So like, you're not gonna get my soul. You're not gonna break my soul like Beyonce. You're gonna jump in this body, honey. You're gonna stay in your body, stay in those eyes. Do you ever have those thoughts?
No, never.
Anyway, yeah, so he had to just pretend that he didn't hear not a word of her being like, it's weird that he said that, mom, what did he say? Mom, I got upset, mom. So he had to just pretend to be not hearing that outside. And then, like, then we start to wait. Then we start to realize that he is, however, incredibly overbearing. Like, at first, I'll be honest. Does she dress the best? No. But like, does she know where she is? No. And does he seem to know a little more about where they are? Yes. And is it different and scarier, maybe more dangerous than where she is? Yes. And so at first I was like, okay, well, maybe he knows what's up and up. But he also wants to use that as a way to really keep her in the dark about a lot of things, and let his word be it. And like, things that make sense, which is her being like, look, if this is that dangerous, this house already got busted into 3 goddamn times. Already 3 times. Okay, already 3 times, 3 times. So I'm just going to go ahead and say, like, this one's a bust. You know what I'm saying? And so we need to move, and here are some places to move. And I came here, moved here, left my whole life. And so where he wants to be like, nah, she shouldn't have any opinion on that. Like, now he's kind of like, I don't know what could. Okay, I know. Well, listen, Patreon. Patreon knows that Juan made a lot of eyes. And now the free feed doesn't. A lot of judgmental eyes on my accent. And you in Patreon, I saw, and the judgmental feed just hears me comment on it. But Wa's eyes was, I mean, rich with judgment. Okay, anyway, Wa, what do you think?
I think you are correct, and I think that he does use this as a way to control her. Even when he took her to the self-defense classes, he is like telling her she's good job, babe. And then when they get like in their confessional, he's like, well, you really didn't do anything. And she's like, what? Like, he just gaslights, I think, to a certain extent, especially when the conversation that they're having in the kitchen. But before we get there, he also says that he's going to wait until after their marriage to deal with the clothes thing, which is sus. Sus. So then they're in the car and she's like, oh, I hate it that why do we always lose power? And I'm like, girl, you've already A, been there. B, don't ask dumb questions. You're in a place where this is what the infrastructure is like. This is what it is. Let it go. And I don't like the way that he describes South Africa as this like fucking awful, dangerous ass place. Because my first thought then was like, go somewhere else then. Like, I mean, there are South Africans who are probably living their best lives. So like, like, yeah, you need to figure that out.
I agree with you. Like, I can't tell if he's doing it in like to try and explain to Americans that it's different, or just in life, and or half of me is like, wow, do you think he gets off in some way that he can handle it? That he's a big man? Like the amount of times he referenced her as being a smaller woman or a tinier woman in the self-defense class, I was like, is there something about the fact that he got himself a little meek, like whispery waif, that's not going to say shit to him, like, and is it all feeding into some weird ego thing about how he lives his life and how he's like he wants to almost be like an off the grid kind of like anti-hero that skirts normal living to like live on the edge in a kind of like weird parallel version of like Logan kind of way. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'm starting to like get towards like what you're talking about. The thing I think you're missing is that he's Jehovah's Witness. They're both Jehovah's Witness. So there is a religious aspect that hasn't been talked about anymore. And that does kind of color the way he views it. Because, there's Jehovah's Witness here, but I'm sure, there's Jehovah's Witness all over the world. And who knows how it gets interpreted in another country. And I think the knock about her being a prostitute was part of that like religious judgment. And the fact that, he's supposed to be head of the household, is that, and like, sometimes this idea of being this like salt of the earth, like plumber guy or whatever. So it's just very, very weird. So he tells her she can't go up by herself, and that, once they get married, he's going to let her out of the cage. And he wants to protect her. So then the next day she gets up and just chooses this dress, and it feels like violence a little. This dress is just so over the top. It's like she's going to a day wedding, and she's not. She's just like telling him she wants to look at houses. And then she's also wearing like a nude closed toe shoe when she has a one shouldered like blue dress on, and it just doesn't make any sense with her dark hair. As well as, I think she probably goes, oh, it brings out my eyes. But then she has on pink eyeshadow, and it just looks like that's all she has on. It's just like eyeshadow and eyeliner, and it's like a thick eyeliner, and I just don't know what's going on. And so like I have a judgment that's going on. But she says, well, guess what? I found places for us to go to look for houses. Yeah. And he freaks out. Yeah. And she calls him out on it. She's like, I didn't freak out on you just now. I just said this is what I did. And I think this is fake. She doesn't have the resources to look up houses in South Africa to be like, hey, let's go.
You know what? That's so astute. I completely agree. Wow, you're right. That is fake. You're right, because I was like, that's the most forward thinking. Like, when did she go on that? Like, did she print shit out? Am I supposed to believe she printed shit out? No. Listen, if anything would happen, she would get something on her phone and start to send screenshots, because like there's something about her that exists as like a 17-year-old now in nowadays world, like she really is. I'm gonna tell you this. She's very confident about her style. She doesn't think she's like, she has hardened this look. This is a tried and true look that she has put money and prep behind, and she is not going to abandon it. She's all in for it. So I mean, let's give some sweetness to her.
Yeah, she's all in with it, and she feels good for her. So I'm happy for that. And she's like, it's hard to get ready with no power. We're living like animals. And then again, I was like, shut up. You're not living like animals. Go get some candles or like whatever you got to do. Get some battery operated shit and shut up. Stop complaining. At least you have running water.
You're absolutely right. It's so interesting. The Americans that go across and then where they are, and then if they complain or not complain, is always so interesting. Like, again, Brandan of, before the 90 days is low-key kind of killing the game when it comes to, oh, he's in this one?
Brandan of Toe.
Who knows? Okay. But, he's like low-key a little bit killing the game when it comes to like acquiescing in such a way, and, she's not. Anyway, so it was interesting.
Did you think it was true that she jogs at night in graveyards?
Oh, that was my favorite. Yeah, I'm sorry. I wrote that down. She's just like, America's so safe. I jog at night in graveyards. Was so funny to me. And like, but I will say this, like, I also was like, if you thought of that line, it's great. Did you rewatch what she had to do in her self-defense class? Because I kind of kept watching and be like, could I do this? It's like, what you have to do is if someone comes behind you, they want you to like look down, step out, like a promenade step out, and like with one leg, and then with your other leg, then kind of like kick underneath to try and get the hinge of his knee to fall and him to buckle. And then from that buckling, sort of hoist him then over your back onto the floor. And then from that moment, run. Now, I wanted Wade to kind of be like, he was like, don't do anything else, don't try to fight back, just run. I also kind of want to be like, and then you kick him as hard as you can, either the dick, balls, or head, and then you run.
How is she going to do this with heels on? Because we always see her with heels, and this is not like a rational thing for her to be. I mean, because if she's going to be wearing her slut outfit, she's going to be wearing heels, I think, right?
Well, first of all, slut outfits, I'll kill you. I love you so much, and then I love you so much. She could barely do it in flat foot. She almost like knocked herself over 5 times. By the way, no shade. I think it's a hard move. I'm not, and she's, again, as he keeps saying, such a small girl, what a small baby boo. Oh, what a small, sexy baby that I get to have sex with. And I'm saying, and I can protect.
Oh my God.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah. So I was watching it too. And I was like, I think I could do this. I just have to like get my brother to try it with me. Which I will see him in a few weeks. So he'll be my guinea pig. So then she says, like, how do you get your money? Like, I need to know these things. And he's like, well, you should have asked that before you agreed to marry me. And I was like, no, this is a gaslighting technique. Yep. And she looks at him and she's like, rolls her eyes kind of. And it's just kind of like, yeah, like what? And she's like, my mother's in the other room, right? My mother's still here. So like, if I yell, you've already called me a prostitute in front of her. So if I start yelling at you, this wedding's over. So I need to know how things work here. And she's like, I have a lot to learn about South Africa to feel incorporated. And he's like, yeah, you do. And I was like,
that's what she's asking you.
Yeah. I was like, what is happening?
No, that was so telling. I mean, here's the thing. I'll say this before, and men throughout the entirety of women's lives have like picked on them will like mock them for their looks across the board, right? Mm-hmm. Men's insecurity over their money and whether they can like have any money is like that it. So like he just you really see what a small penis man this is, know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she should go back home because she can't run in graveyards there. So if that's super important for her, then I get it. Go home.
Well, just like maybe some like a life for her vanity is important for her,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. She can't get ready during the day without electricity. So interesting.
What are they going to do? I want to know, like, what is their lives together in this dangerous place? Are they going to go to restaurants together? Like, and another thing is, yes, of course, I wish they would go and show us a Jehovah's Witness event together. I want to see them pray together or go to a thing or even go and serve. I don't know. I don't know what I'm
Kingdom Hall. Go to the Kingdom Hall, do some service together.
Wouldn't that be great?
Doing services when you go door to door. Yeah. So, it's just really, really a very interesting couple. And I want her to tell him off and go home because he is acting a bloody fool. And it's not her fault that his money situation has changed since whatever happened. So moving on to Kirsten and Julio.
Oh, but actually, before we move on, can we make sure our money situation is totally tight by going to commercial? Am I Vanna White? I'm like the Vanna White of this. It makes me every time I remember to do it, it makes me incredibly happy, full of pride. Right now I have like the pride of like a 6-year-old who like did like a half shitty cartwheel in front of her mom. You know what I'm saying?
Wow. I wouldn't describe it as that, but I could definitely tell you're like really excited that you remembered. And it's like, great. Thank you. It's one thing less that I have to remember or like feed in and do whatever. So I appreciate you. And we're back. Wow. Chris, thank you for reminding me. Yes, let's now talk about Julio and whatever her name is.
Kirsten Dunst.
Kirsten and Julio.
Yeah.
Like her accent. Okay, wait. I can't wait, Chris. Did you see the in the next episode? Okay.
Yeah. Which part? Like, well, yeah, sorry. Like the part where she's talking to her friend and being like,
and they have the same eyebrows and the same hair, and it's like a Dutch thing, obviously. And her friend looks even worse than she does with it. It's like they all decided to be Madonna in the 80s, and it's not working out for me.
oh, you know what? I didn't mind it. I didn't mind it. I didn't mind it. You know what I thought you're gonna? What she says later on in this, at the very end, when she's in the car, what she says, "Did you were happy I was here? I thought you were gonna. I thought you were gonna bring that up because it's. By the way, it was so endearing. Like I'm not gonna sit here and make fun of anyone with an accent in like a vicious way because Kirsten, and I think that I made fun of her for the filter looks in the very, very like beginning parts of the episodes, but like honestly, I think she's really beautiful and I like the eyebrows. And Dutch people speak like 14 languages. You know what I'm saying? Like and Dutch itself is a banana sounding language. So
Bananas.
I mean, bananas. She probably speaks English, obviously. She probably speaks French and, like she Dutch, and maybe she even speaks some other thing like Finnish or German. I'm not quite sure. But what I'm trying to say is she's very smart. And I love the fact that she can speak multiple languages. But that is the cutest line to say. I wrote it down verbatim. Did you were happy I was here? And the truth is he fucking wasn't, because he doesn't deserve Kirsten. Anyway.
Continue.
Did you was happy I was here?
Yes, I was happy you were here.
I want to get that way. I almost want to get that as like a shirt. Like, did you?
It's like it's gonna go in the history as give me my red bag and Mackle and all the other things.
It's like a low key. It's quiet. The quiet luxury of those kind of sayings though. Like it doesn't get as much heat. But did you was happy I was here is cute. Yeah, but basically they're in the car ride. Sorry, and then he's just like, she's like, was this a good trip? And she like, it's like no. The answer was no. And the weird thing was, he says one thing that's so interesting. He says like, seeing her in his world brought up the differences between the worlds. And I want to be like, is that what you thought happened? Because from my side, this girl who you like told everything was chill and everything was going to move on and everything was going great, you brought to America. And then once she was in America, you changed your tune in a bunch of ways when she was in your native land. It wasn't like the differences were all that happened inside you. It wasn't like you got to see differences in each other. You brought her to your land and then you changed your mind. Right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. He just, I mean, it's okay to have a change of heart, but it's not okay to have a change of heart every single time you're in front of a different friend or family member and then continuously say stuff to her that's baiting. Like, and we all know, Chris, that I hate when plans change. So I understand her so much. But I still don't like her hair and eyebrows. So he says that he's going to help her look for apartments, and she says it, and he gets upset because she's like, you don't help me. And he's like, I was on FaceTime one time, and she's like, you never were. And I'm like, that is a huge discrepancy. Like one person says, I saw apartments with you on FaceTime, and the other person goes, no, you didn't. So now I need to know what happened.
That was so telling, because he made it seem like, okay, she was like, I went to 3 apartments, like, yeah, and I FaceTimed you. And then he wanted us to think that out of the 3 that he had done 1 or 2, and that she was making a big deal that he hadn't gone to all 3. But then she was like, bitch, not 1. And then was his initial thought to just lie, or did he honestly think he was on a FaceTime? Was it with a different woman seeing a different apartment? Like, what? That was bananas.
That was wild. That mystery needs to be solved because they have different, I mean, that seeing an apartment is a huge deal. I don't know, maybe one day she was walking down the street and she's like, look, Julio, this is looking like a nice apartment. I can't do her accent. And he's like, oh, looks nice from the outside. And then that was it. And so he thought that was that.
Yeah. Apartment number 4.
I don't know. I just don't know. It was very weird. And so she tries to make it like a decent ending. And she's like, do you want to fight my last day here? And he's like, no, and she's like, then don't. So take him to the airport and shut up.
Yeah.
So
that is exactly it. Yeah.
Yeah. Next couple is Okay Einstein, which
no, wow. I wish, like, see, the thing about it was this. The entire episode, you could throw away, except for the scene with her and the brother, and then maybe
Oh.
the scene with her and the brother and TJ. Like,
Mm-hmm.
there's the only important part. Like, I could see that scene the entire season, and you wouldn't even give me Kenny or Armando once.
Throw them away. Not even, throw them in the basura.
Thank you.
Girl, that was some of the best 90 Day Fiance back and forth. Like, is his name Yesh? Yesh should be on Pillow Talk.
Yes.
He should be behind the scenes on the Tell All instead of Kenny, and
he'll be there.
I mean,
he'll be there. No, he's cemented. You're right.
He is he's better than Sumit's mother.
He's better than their whole family. Like, you know, like, I can't right now. It's so funny because I can't tell you Sumit's brother's sound of his voice. Can you?
No, but oh my God. So they're still sitting on whatever, like, rooftop or whatever they were at. And it's where he was like, you don't have to be here. You can go. And they continue this great one. And she says, I'm not stupid. And he says, well, okay, you're Einstein. Okay, Einstein. Calls her Einstein. And then we have a cut to of her being in her, like, confessionals. And then we have the clairvoyant. It's like, girl, you didn't see this coming again. And she's like, he's a typical Virgo, pompous, arrogant. So, as though she's completely cool with it. And he says, Indians have more manner. We have more manners and culture than Indians have more manners and culture. And he's like, you know,
in America, you're right. And then she goes, you never, and then, but this is the back and forth that was so good, because then she was like, you never been there before. And listen, he's, in one way, he's right and wrong, because a lot of Indian people don't have manners in social ways when it comes to, like, you know, like, moving about. I mean, be different. There's differences. But when she also, right, like, just throws back, you've never been there, I'm on his side, but I kind of wanted to give her props, because it really, that is how you shoot someone fucking down.
I mean, girl, like, when yeah, Chris, like, I mean, he's like, he'll be the king and you can be the prince. And she's like, I don't want to be a prince. I don't like boys, or I don't want to be a boy. And we're like, what the hell? That was a great comeback.
That one's shitty. And then he touches her, and then she's like, don't you dare touch me. And then you see his change. It's like he thought things were going to be funny and fun. And then when he tries to, like, touch her leg and she says, don't touch me, then he calls her rude again. And the thing about it is, like, she's horrible. He's not wrong about his family, but he's not a great guy, and you would never let him talk to you that way as well. And so you are then just watching these two people really be heated about something that is like, it, you know, and neither one is right in the sense of, like, what you can do. I mean, he's right, because what he's trying to say is, you can do whatever the fuck you want, just not in this house. And she's saying, oh no, I can do whatever I want in the house. He's like, no, not in the house, not in this house.
Because I'm American.
Yes. That's like, don't you kind of feel like that's what it is a little bit? Like, she's like, I'm American, do whatever I want. He's like, yes, somewhere else, not with my parents. Not like, you're not gonna, like, cook garlic and insult my mom and pout that you can't insult my mom in her fucking house.
Yes. Okay. He's like, I don't care about you. And she's like, I hate India. And then he's like, you're trash. And she's like, it takes one to know one. And I was like, good comeback, bitch. Like, Chris, there's so many jewels. I'm not even done yet. And so then
off of me, like, I'm glue or whatever, you know, it's, I can't even think of it now.
Sticks off of, jumps, leaves you and sticks off, I don't know, something like
I'm that. Rock and you're glue, and whatever bounces off of me sticks onto you.
One of them, something like that.
You can't bounce off of. God dang, you can tell that I was not the mean girl on school. I was the one getting bullied. I'd be surprised I don't remember these. I was mostly just crying in the back, or like pretending to play doctor. You know how it is.
It's just such two, either crying or molesting, like, just two, like, greatest things. So he was like, you know, TJ's gonna have to leave the family in order to be with you. And he's like, you abused TJ and our family, well, then get out of our house. And, you know, Yesh is like, she has to leave us, you know, we cannot handle you. And so it's just back and forth of them arguing, and finally she gets up and walks away. Then she has a conversation or whatever. TJ comes home and they all put on coats except for the brother, and they walk down to the corner to get to talk with only two chais because she doesn't want to drink. And she does the thing that I think a lot of women are good at. Not women, women I've seen, is that she immediately becomes the victim by staying quiet and not arguing. And TJ defends her, and she loves every single moment of it. One of the things before I hate it when Americans go to the other countries and then talk about Americans as though we're a monolith. Like I was raised to do this. And I'm like, you were raised, not Americans, because Americans have all different kinds of cultural things that they pull from. Like, you have cultural things that how you behave because of your ancestry. I have cultural things how I behave because of my ancestry. Like, maybe one of the only things that's unifying in America is that when you get 18, you're expected to leave the house, or when you get married, you're expected to live on your own. Like, those, and you like, those are kind of the norms of like, oh, okay, this is what happens. Or not 18 or when you get out of college, right? Like, those are the things that are expected from Americans. But after that, nothing is really the same. Culture, like when you go to someone's house, some people bring a bottle of wine, some people bring chocolates, some people don't bring anything. Like, it just is very different. And so I just didn't like that when she's like, well, in America. No, don't speak for me, girl.
It's so funny. I agree with you in that when she sits down and she doesn't say a goddamn word and she lets this man just nail himself to a cross and light a fire that is like bun underneath the cross with a match in his toes, when he does it all against himself, she just sits there. It's a masterclass, because the truth is, I don't think she's smart. I don't think she's Einstein. But in this conversation, she gets very heated. She gets it's almost like she's like becomes a cat, like you can see her reflexes, and she's obviously very defensive. And for her benefit, she's getting to argue in her native language, because she would have no way to have one conversation, one iota of a sentence in Indian. This man, who obviously is not his native language, has to also have a conversation not in his native tongue. And he's doing the best he can, but like every word's not going to come off right. And he, of course, is from a different culture, and he's coming off a little bit masochistic. And then so she just gets to like use that as the like juxtaposition of American culture. Now, I understand what she says when she says what she says, which is that Americans are raised to be independent and to believe in freedom and stuff like that. And whether she alludes to this or not, she also, can say, American women are led to believe certain things too. And so now I think that she is using this as a way to truly make herself seem incredibly rational in this situation, to him be out of his mind, judgmental and off. But the truth of the matter is, when we look at their argument back to back in the area, they're both heated. They're both yelling. She just happened to calm down, and he is just too dumb to do so, like, and in that way, it's funny because I know what he means when he says Indians have more manners and culture, but some Indian people can be quick to temper and quick to yell like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, and so I'm just saying, it's like, it's funny. Like, when it comes to manners, it's like he shot himself in the foot just by not keeping his cool. And it's always like, you can really learn a lot, because it really isn't the content of the message. It's how it came across. And it came across so badly that unfortunately she won.
Yeah. TJ is pissed at him. TJ is like, I'm trying to resolve this and you keep on arguing. She's just sitting here. And he's like, oh, she's pretending. I see the game. And he doesn't even just be quiet then. He still like wants to point it out. And TJ is like, no, I'm not going to go against her. No, I already fought with her for 2 days and we're getting married in 6 days. Or I don't know. He's like, no, this is not happening.
Yes.
So Yesh is like, at this point, anything that happens, I'm blaming TJ.
Yes, which by the way, yes. Which is what he should have done in the first place. He should have never had that conversation with her, period. Because even if you're going to, if you're going to go back into like old gender role archaicness, why would he be talking to the woman?
Because I can see it. It may be because of the fact that, no, you're right. I think that the brothers would be like, you need to take care of your woman.
Yeah, or
Like,
maybe the like or the mom or an aunt or the grandmother.
mhm.
To me, it should be it should be either TJ or an older female, from what I assume. Because I also isn't it is okay. Is the brother we're also seeing an older brother of his?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I'm a,
And they're going to live together forever is what we found out. And I knew it, but it's one thing to say it out loud and then just to assume that the men are staying in the house because obviously they got to take care of everything, and Yesh is going to get married at some point, and his wife is going to, where is his wife going to live? I mean, because the way she made it seem is that TJ would have been sleeping in the bed with his mother had he not built that thing on top.
I know, it's like, so the whole entire upstairs is gonna be just for like 2 people, and then 14 people are gonna live in the bottom.
I just don't know. And it's like, where do you have sex? Like, where do you have your, I don't know.
Oh, you definitely have sex anywhere. Cupboards, whatever.
Cupboards?
I don't know. That's what I said. I'm very flexible, so you can put me anywhere.
Cupboards.
Like a little Polly Pocket,
Cupboards. All right. So the last couple is Armando and Kenny, and I didn't watch them, so you can talk about this.
No, I'll kill you.
I'm not.
This is really it's really wait.
Are we missing one person?
You said that we had Brandon and Mary on this.
No.
Well, then we didn't have Brandon and Mary on.
We don't have them on this, but they're on this show, not before the 90 days. You said
God damn
not
it.
Brandon.
I know what you're talking about, because I thought they were on the other. I thought we just talked. I don't even.
No, it was only these 4 couples. It was a great episode.
Okay. Kenny and Armando. I
They're in a
basically don't
shop.
say anything. They go to a they have a surrogacy conversation with someone named Ricardo Ramirez, who I just like that name a lot. Like, like it's sort of as like, I like our names, Ricardo Ramirez. It's not Ricky Ricardo, but it's kind of like that. And then also know that like my first boyfriend in preschool, like the one where I was either crying or like, like playing doctor, was with someone named Robbie Robertson. So like, if you have 2 R's, you can come for me, Roadrunner. You know what I'm saying? So then, God bless. It's just the boring conversation of the fact that, Kenny is so old and Armando keeps wanting to have a baby, and, it takes a long time to adopt, which is the better option, because if they could just adopt an already lovely human that's maybe a little older, that's a little hard to adopt, it'd be better, because Kenny is, again, so goddamn old. But Armando, for some reason, is on some so selfish high horse that just wants to bring children into the world to either grow his relationship with Armando or just to like live his life more. But I mean, the truth of the matter is, if Armando wants to have a baby, then it's a conversation with Kenny. It's being like, hey, I'm going to have a baby. I'm younger than you. I know you're not going to be around for so long. So I'm going to have this baby, and you can do as much raising of it as you want. Like, you are a lovely person and you already are raising my child. So don't worry. Like, I don't mind kind of like making sure that I'm there to make all the decisions if you're like tired or older because you're getting old. However, like, because I feel like, what is Kenny is just around for the ride. So if you can just take some pressure off of him, Armando, like, what do you expect of him? Then like, maybe you can get this baby. I don't know.
Kenny said that he is too old because he's not going to see their grandchildren, their kids. Like, he's not going to see the child that they adopt or has children. And I was like, wow, I didn't know that was really important for you to be able to see their children. 1, 2, Armando is selfish in that fact because he already has Hannah. Kenny already has a bunch of kids, and he doesn't want any more. He doesn't want to take care of somebody, change diapers at 65. Now, I don't know how old he is. I just made that up. Now, I don't know if Armando could have the baby and then expect Kenny not to be involved. Like, I think that's impossible. But it's just really interesting that they both cry on the streets about it. And I'm like, Armando, give it up. Give it up. Just put everything into Hannah.
Yeah, I mean, like, not everyone doesn't always get a perfect baby, and you just never know. Sometimes God gives us what we need and what we want, and if it's going to happen, it's going to happen. But the fact that you have hounded this man season after season, and then when he says he's not ready, be like, like, there's no good answer to give you. I mean, I don't know. It's like, and then also kind of feels low key like Armando's like, well, we can move to Mexico City. Let me do the one thing I want to do, which is have a baby. But even though you already moved here, I don't know.
Yeah, it's boring.
Yeah,
all right. So, I mean, that's it, guys. Thank you so much for joining us on this journey. It was great.
Yeah, it really was. Yeah, like, do you think that Holly and Wayne are going to be together forever?
Absolutely not.
Yeah, do you think they're going to Okay, great.
Yeah, that's absolutely not is the answer to that question. All right.
Oh,
So,
one more thing. Sorry, you talked about the scenes of the next one. Did you see what's going to happen with them?
no, I can't
Cri-
remember.
You know why? Oh, he talks about why he doesn't have the money. You know why?
Because
Yeah.
cryptocurrency.
Yes. I screamed again. God damn it. I forget. Every time I talk about this show, I forget that I'm doing a podcast. I get so excited. I scream. There's always going to be an episode where I scream, or a moment of the episode I scream. Yes, honey. He lost all the money. Is why he can't move into a gated compound because of crypto. My God. It's just like, it's like one of those things where I know people lost money because it happens, but you just like, for some reason I forget about it because it's not anything I could have ever like got into. And then you're like, oh yeah, no, there it is.
It's annoying because yes, it's a get rich quick kind of scheme, and I'm like, why would you put so much into it? I mean, he said 40K. Now I don't know what that comes out to, but like that is like a lot of money.
Yeah.
You don't throw away 40K if you don't have it to throw away. You know?
Yes. Yeah. You can't. Yeah. Never loan away money to people that you wouldn't be able to just like be okay with if it doesn't come back. Like,
Oh, absolutely.
and the
You're
same
right.
thing with like, investing, that's why the truth of the matter is, and I'm not perfect at this. It's why you should never buy something unless you can afford, like 5 of them. It's like all the things like you
Yeah.
do, like you don't do something just because you have enough to just do it once. It's like, and it just happens. It's not about that. It's whatever. So, but yeah,
No,
that's crazy.
it's crazy that he did that. It is wild. But anyways, if you guys want to see the visuals and see Chris transform because she put a full face of makeup on this whole time, you can join us on Patreon at patreon.com/docusweeties. It's $10 a month. You get a live every first Monday of the month. Plus, you get the episode a full 24 hours before anybody else, and the visuals, as well as other little treats that we give our Patreon folks. So if you want to do that, or mainly if you just want to support us because you love what we're doing, and you got $10 extra a month besides your Hulu, your Netflix, your Peacock, your Prime, and whatever else you have, please do so. But if you can't, Chris will tell you how you can.
You can go on to the social medias, the free social medias we all know of, like Instagram, put in at DocuSweeties, or at DocuSweeties on TikTok, at DocuSweeties1 on X. And we have a brand new Facebook group, and it's called the DocuSweeties Podcast Group. And then, of course, if you're on Patreon, we're kicking it there, and we love you guys so much. And yeah, well, what do you think of my full face get ready with me as I go out tonight?
It was great. I wish you had said all of the products that you were using. So let me know what they are if you want to, and I'll drop it in the show notes. So, all right, guys, thank you so much for being here, and we'll talk to you guys later. Bye.
Bye.